this perfected nature would be non-eternal. Both natures would be both pure and impure realms, and then the functions of basic knowledge and subsequently acquired knowledge would be devoid of difference. Why are the two natures neither different nor the same? They are like the nature of impermanence, so no self, etc. If the nature of impermanence, etc., is different from dharmas that are impermanent, such as the karmic forces, these dharmas would not be impermanent, etc. If they are not different, impermanence, etc., would not be their common characteristics. Consequently, the comparison shows that the perfected and dependent on others are neither the same nor different. This must be the principle concerning dharmas and the nature of dharmas, because the ultimate truth and the relative truth exist through mutual support.
The verses say, one, that is perfected, not perceived, the other, that is dependent on others, is not perceived, because if one has not yet grasped the emptiness of the discriminated nature, one does not truly know the existence of the dependent on others. Once non-discriminating knowledge realizes ultimate reality, one can thoroughly grasp, in subsequently acquired knowledge, that the nature that is dependent on others is like an illusion, etc. Even though from beginningless time the dharmas of mind and mental activities have been able to have as objects their own seen and seeing parts, etc., still they have always been accompanied by the grasping of self and dharmas, and therefore they do not truly know that selves and dharmas are false transformations of mind and mental activities themselves that have been attracted by a host of conditions. They are non-existent but appear to exist, like illusions, mirages, things in dreams, images in a mirror, echoes in a valley, the moon, reflected, in water, and the effects of conjuring. On the basis of this interpretation, a verse says,
one who does not see ultimate reality is unable to see the karmic forces. All are like illusions, etc., that, although existing, are not real. The meaning of this is that the three kinds of nature are inseparable from the dharmas of mind and mental activities. That is, because mind and mental activities together with the actual transformation are born from a host of conditions, they are like illusions, etc., that are non-existent, although they appear to exist and delude the ignorant. All are named the nature that is dependent on others.
The ignorant perversely grasp them as selves and dharmas, as existing or not existing, the same or different, both, the same and different, or neither, the same nor different, etc. Like flowers seen in the sky, by one with eye disease, etc., they are, in reality, totally non-existent in nature and characteristics. All of this is named discriminated nature. The self and dharmas that are grasped falsely in the dependent on others are both empty, and the real nature of consciousness, etc., revealed by this emptiness is named the perfected nature. Therefore the three natures are not apart from mind, etc.
1. The three natures, various topics. In what natures are space, cessation resulting from discrimination, and cessation not resulting from discrimination, etc., included? They may be included in all three natures. Mind, etc., transforms to resemble the image of space, etc., and because it is born from mind it is categorized as the nature that is dependent on others. Fools falsely grasp it as really existing, and this is categorized as the imagined nature. If meanings such as space, etc., are established as being metaphors for true suchness, they are categorized as the perfected nature. Impure mind, etc., definitely belongs to the dependent on others. Pure mind, etc., may belong to both natures, i.e., dependent on others and perfected. Being born of a host of conditions, it belongs to the dependent on others. Being devoid of error, it is categorized as perfected.
How are the three natures and the 7 kinds of true suchness related? The 7 kinds of true suchness are: 1. True suchness of transmigration, that is, the real nature of conditioned dharmas in transmigration. 2. True suchness of the reality of things, that is, the real nature as revealed by the twofold no-self. 3. True suchness of consciousness only, that is, the real nature of defiled and pure dharmas that are consciousness only. 4. True suchness of establishment, that is, the real nature of suffering. 5. true suchness of wrong conduct, that is, the real nature of origination. 6. True suchness of purity, that is, the real nature of cessation. 7. True suchness of proper conduct, that is, the real nature of the path.
These 7 real natures are categorized as the perfected nature, because they are objects of fundamental and subsequently acquired 2 knowledges. In accordance with their characteristics, the real natures of transmigration, suffering, and origination are categorized as the first 2 natures, imagined and dependent on others, due to false grasping and defilement. The remaining 4 are categorized as the perfected nature. How are the 3 natures related to the 6 dharmas? All 6 dharmas are contained in the 3 natures, because form, feeling, conceptualization, karmic forces, consciousness, and the unconditioned dharmas are falsely grasped, are born from conditions, and are, by nature, the truth.
How are the 3 natures related to the 5 things? The holy teachings are not agreed in the matter of relationship. That is, on the one hand, some sources say that the dependent on others includes images, names, discrimination, and correct knowledge, the perfected nature includes true suchness, and the imagined nature does not include these 5 things. This means that the name of image is given to the dharmas of impure mind and mental activities that transform to resemble the expressed. In appearing resembling the expressor, they are given the name of name, mind, etc., which changes, is established as discrimination, because pure mind, etc., is divorced from idle discourse, it is given the name of correct knowledge. They are not said to be other than the expressor and the expressed. These 4 are born from conditions and are categorized as the dependent on others, nature.
On the other hand, some sources say that the dependent on others includes images and discrimination, the imagined only includes name, and correct knowledge and suchness are categorized as the perfected. This means that the name, image, is given to the seen part of impure mind and mental activities, and the remaining 4 are named discrimination. The imagined nature is totally devoid of substance, and in order to indicate that it is non-existent, it is given the metaphorical name of name. The last 2 are devoid of error and are therefore categorized as the perfected.
On the other hand, there are sources that say that the nature that is dependent on others includes only discrimination, the imagined includes images and name, and correct knowledge and suchness are categorized as the perfected. This means that the seen and seeing parts, etc., of impure mind and mental activities are called discrimination, in general, because false imagination is their nature. The imagined expressor and expressed are conventionally established as the 2 things, name and images, respectively.
Furthermore, some sources say that name belongs to the dependent on others, and its significance belongs to the imagined. This means that the seen and seeing parts, etc., of impure mind and mental activities create the imagined through the power of name and for that reason are called name. The imagined is perversely judged according to name. Its substance is really non-existent, and it is metaphorically named significance. Despite the differences of explanation of the 5 things in the holy teachings, there is no contradiction in their meaning. However, the first explanation is not confused and should be understood in accordance with the extended explanation of the Yogacarabhimi Sastra.
Also, it is said in the holy teachings that there are 5 characteristics. What is the relationship of these to the 3 natures? That which is expressed and that which expresses each contain the 3 natures. That is, false judgment belongs to the category of the first, imagined, nature. Image, name, and discrimination are either the expressed or the expressor, as the case may be, and belong with the dependent on others. Suchness and correct knowledge are the expressed and the expressor, as the case may be, and belong to the perfected nature, because subsequently acquired knowledge transforms to resemble the characteristic of the expressor.
The characteristic consisting of the connection between the 2 is categorized as belonging only to the first nature, because significance and name are falsely grasped as really connected. The characteristic consisting of adherence to that is solely the dependent on others, because its nature is unreal imagination. The characteristic consisting of non-adherence is solely the perfected, because its nature is that of pure knowledge, etc. Also, it is said in the holy teachings that there are 4 realities. What is their relationship to the 3 natures? Worldly reality and that achieved by reason are categorized as the dependent on others, because they are included in the first three things, i.e., images, name, and discrimination.
Reality related to the purification of the two obstacles, i.e., the obstacle of the passions and the obstacle to that which is to be known, is categorized as the perfected, because it is included in the last two things, i.e., correct knowing and suchness. According to the Madhyantavibhaga, the first reality is categorized as solely the first, imagined, nature, because it is grasped in common, with selves, etc. The second reality belongs to all the three natures, because truth is common to attachment, non-detachment, defilement, and purity. The last two realities are related only to the third, perfected nature. What is the relationship between the three natures and the four noble truths? Each of the four holy contains the three natures.
2. Suffering. Also, each of the four marks, consisting of impermanence, etc., within the truth of suffering contains the three natures. The impermanences are impermanence as absence of nature, this is the imagined nature, because its nature is eternally non-existent, impermanence as origination and cessation. This is the nature that is dependent on others, because it contains birth and cessation, impermanence as impurity and purity. This is the perfected nature, because its state is transformed. Suffering is threefold. The imagined nature is suffering of that which is grasped, because it is grasped by the support, i.e., mind, of the two graspings, self and dharmas. The dependent on others is suffering as the characteristic of events, because its characteristic is the threefold suffering. The perfected is suffering of union, because it is united with suffering. The three kinds of emptiness are emptiness as absence of nature, this is the imagined naturel, because its nature is